teaching of tennis is predicated on the students' education that comes with them onto the tennis court. In other words, the students who have come on the court are already programmed a certain way from their teachings in schools and at home and in society in general. It's not the tennis pros' fault, and to tell you the truth, it's not the students' fault either, that they're not able to make great headways in what I'm calling the tennis of the future. Most of what we do in life is predicated on a two-value logic system of what they call a logic of the excluded middle, kind of like an Aristotelian logic, a yes and a no, with no space in between for variables. The proposition is either yes or no. Do you like ice cream? Yes. Do you like ice cream? No. It's what you call the logic of the excluded middle. There is no middle ground. This occurs also in why tennis of the future, two forehand tennis doesn't become popular. Because we associate yes and positive with the right hand, and everything no and negative with the left hand. So when we're playing or teaching or learning, we do it with the right hand, and there is no left hand usage. So it's right hand, and then right hand with on a backhand on the other side. Or now, to tell you the truth, it's an evolution to use the left hand with that right hand. But it just shows you that they still can't use the left hand alone. It has to be with the right hand. The right hand as the positive hand in life, the good, the masculine. What's happened in our school systems, but I want to stay with tennis ideas here, is that we try to play for the lines, the extremities. These are the two poles and polarities of this two-valued logic system of yes and no, the logic of the excluded middle. If the middle's excluded, then I want to play the right sideline or the left sideline. I want to play low over the net, and I want to play deep on the line, the baseline. I don't want anything in the space, in the middles. I want them on the edges, on the peripheries, on the parameters, on the extremes. Anything to exclude the middle. And that's why this logic permeates our schooling system and our society, and unfortunately, that's what we have to change. We have to change before we'll ever get two forehand tennis, right and left hand forehand tennis. We're going to have to change the logic into a included middle logic, to open up the middle space. The third value as the center, as the middle. That's what we're going to have to change and do. Now here's This is a long 5-minute introduction to what I wanted to get into. Where to put the serve. I've been watching a lot of tennis recently, again, and people are always serving for the wide right line or the down the center line in the deuce box, or the down the center line and the wide left line in the backhand. They hit great serves and they miss it by 1 or 2 inches. They're hitting a 130-mile-an-hour serve and missing it by 1 inch. And then they play their other point, which by analytics, they only get 50% of the second serve points anyway. So here's my theory on the included middle. Serve the body serve in the middle of the space, in the bisection of the potential service box, where the man stands. Serve it at his belly button or his right hip. Serve it at him so he doesn't have a shot turning right or left. Include the middle. We don't see that as such. My own belief was that somebody that served, say, as well as Andy Roddick, with his huge serve, should never have made an error left and right, just should have served his 130 down the middle, get it bunted back, and then hit his huge forehand. In trying to serve to the extremities of the two-valued logic system of yes and no, of right and left, of at the extremes, the edges, that's the failure. So it's actually a failure in thought. It's actually a failure in perception of space according to another valued logic system. This is like a middle way in Buddhism. It's also in yoga the opening up of the Sushumna, the nerve that runs down the middle of when the Ida and Pingala are balanced. It's an opening up of the space. A shot that they have been doing recently is the return of serve, hit hard right down the middle of the space, getting somebody to try to just bunt it back, and then the receiver has the opportunity to take advantage, rather than giving left and right, where it's easily performed because there's a natural turn. This center space is a remnant of the third line, third rail, the line that goes from that little center mark, the foot fault mark in the middle, to the service line that's been erased. There is no line there. Because there is no line there, we're not able to perceive the center of the court. If there was a line there, people would hit the line. But because there's no line there, people don't hit the center. That center service mark is just another remnant of something else. But my thing today is to explain to you to change the logic of the excluded middle into a logic of the included middle. This gives a greater variation and is more like we are today. Things are not yes, no, black and white anymore. Even sexuality. There's a gray area in between. In all types of concepts of self, even in marriages, and the levels of what the person calls himself. We must open up this middle. See? And the one way to do that is to serve at the body in the middle, and not give a left and right. This way we can serve even harder because we can have a fluctuation in our right and left error if we miss by a little bit. This opens up the mental space. So this is a logic of the included middle. And once we do this, we can open up an entire different world of thought. And that's what we need in the tennis of the future. An opening up of the logic of the included middle. And see how that makes changes in the perception, because when you're playing an opponent, you're playing another individual. And if your perception of space and time, calculus that you're going under, and your perception of how you handle problems is a major factor in how you construct your game against this other individual.